Let me ask you something. How many times have you let someone ruin your day this week? Was it a rude stranger or an annoying coworker? A rude stranger. An annoying coworker. That one friend who just knows how to push your buttons. Don't lie. I know it's happened, but here's the thing, what if I told you that you could become unshakable, like Jedi-level calm? Where no one can even scratch your vibe. Sounds impossible. Right? Well. Stick around. I'm about to give you brutally honest, sometimes controversial, hilariously effective ways to never get angry or bothered by anyone again. Warning, this might just change your life. At least make you a lot harder to annoy. Let's go. 1. It's important to limit your exposure to toxic people. Let's be realistic. If someone is toxic, they don't deserve unrestricted access to your life. This might upset some people. Hear me out. Just because someone has a title like friend, partner, or even family doesn't mean they can mistreat you. With your peace of mind, some people are so draining that being around them feels like sitting in a car with the windows rolled up while they smoke emotional cigarettes. You're just there inhaling it. Now, before we dive deep, let's address the elephant in the room. What about family, isn't it? Is it wrong to distance yourself from parents, siblings, cousins who've always been there? Here's the truth, family is supposed to love and support you, not use emotional blackmail or guilt trips. If they're doing that, guess what? You're not obligated to stick around. Just don't let people pressure you into staying close just because you share blood. Here's an example. In college, I had a friend named Sarah. Sarah loved drama. She couldn't go a day without fighting with her boyfriend or spreading gossip about a professor. Don't let people use your family relationships as a way to control you. At first, I thought Sarah was just being a bit over the top. I thought, this is just Sarah. She's a little extra. It's harmless. Spoiler alert, it wasn't harmless. After a while, I noticed that every conversation with Sarah was about her problems, her enemies, her endless parade of crises. Me. I was basically an unpaid therapist. I started dreading her calls. Hanging out with her felt like emotional labor. But because I'm a people pleaser, I stuck around longer than I should have. Then came the breaking point. One night, she called me at 2 a.m. crying. Many of us choose to keep toxic people in our lives, even though it's not healthy. Here's the controversial part, we feel guilty about leaving them. We think they need us. Remember, family is supposed to love and support us, not use emotional blackmail or guilt trips. If they're doing that, you're not obligated to stick around just because they're upset. I tried to comfort her when she was upset about her boyfriend not texting her back, but she cut me off and got angry. I hung up and thought, why am I doing this to myself? The next day, I decided to limit my time with Sarah. I didn't have a big confrontation or dramatic exit. I just stopped being so available. I let her calls go to voicemail. Replied to her texts hours later. Politely declined hangouts. You know what happened? Nothing. She didn't notice at first because she was so wrapped up in her own drama. Eventually she moved on to someone else who'd take advantage of her emotional support. Me. I got my peace back. Here's the controversial part, many of us choose to keep toxic people in our lives. Why? Guilt. You think I can't just abandon them? They need me. Newsflash, you're not obligated to stick around just because you're used to it. Don't let others pressure you into staying away from your family. Family is supposed to love and support you, not use emotional blackmail or guilt trips. If they're doing that, You don't have to stick around. You're not their therapist. Maybe it's your family. You've been taught that cutting them off is cruel. You might be afraid of conflict. You put up with their nonsense to keep the peace. You've been putting up with it for so long that it feels normal. Don't let people use your family relationships as an excuse to control you. Here's a hard truth: guilt and obligation aren't reasons to let someone destroy your peace. When you're in conflict with someone, you can set boundaries without destroying the relationship. When you need to limit your exposure to a toxic person, don't create a dramatic exit. This isn't reality TV. Instead, be less available. Say no more often. Ignore their calls. Don't justify yourself. You don't owe anyone an explanation for protecting your mental health. Change the dynamic. If you have to interact with a don't feel obligated to stick around if your family is using emotional blackmail or guilt trips. If they ask why you're pulling back, you can be honest without being cruel. You could say, "I've been focusing on my own priorities lately. I don't have as much bandwidth for other things right now." This is polite. It sets a boundary. Now, let's talk about family. This is where things get tricky. What do you do when the toxic person is your parent, sibling, spouse? You might not be able to cut them off completely. You can still set clear boundaries. If your mom constantly criticizes your choices, let her know that you love her. You're not okay with those comments. Let's change the subject, control your time, visit less often or keep phone calls short. If you're dreading Thanksgiving, make a polite excuse to leave early. Stand your ground. Toxic family members often test your boundaries. Stay firm. It gets easier with practice. Remember, setting boundaries with family isn't an act of betrayal. It's an act of self. Don't let people use your family as a way to control you. Family should support you, not use emotional pressure to get what they want. If they're doing that, you don't have to stay around. Here's the truth: people who are toxic thrive on access. They need your time, reactions, energy. Limiting that access isn't cruel. It's an act of self-care. It's an act of self-respect. You know what? You're not a bad person for putting yourself first. Think of it this way: your mental health is like a garden. Toxic people are like weeds. If you don't pull them out or at least contain them, they'll choke out everything good in your life. Flowers can't bloom in a garden full of weeds, but here's the flip side: sometimes you might be the weed in someone else's garden. Yes, I said it. We've all had moments where we've been selfish, dramatic, draining. If you notice people pulling away from you, take it as an opportunity to reflect and grow. Life is too short to spend it with people who drain your energy, disrespect your boundaries, make you feel small, whether it's a friend, colleague or relative. You have the right to protect your peace. So start spending less time with toxic people. Do it quietly. Do it confidently. Don't look back. You deserve relationships that uplift you, not ones that weigh you down. Lower your expectations. Let's get this out of the way: most of us expect too much from other people. We expect them to be kind, thoughtful, reliable, decent human beings, and when they inevitably fall short, we're shocked, disappointed, downright furious. Here's the hard truth: if you want to stop being so easily bothered, you've got to lower your expectations. Sounds cynical, right? It's also the key to living without getting bothered. Having high expectations is like setting emotional traps for yourself. You're just waiting for someone to step on them and mess up your peace. When you expect people to act a certain way, you're essentially giving them control over you. Emotions. Think about it. You expect your friend to remember your birthday. They don't. You're mad. You expect your coworker to do their fair share. They don't. You're angry. You expect your partner to know what you need without saying it. Spoiler, they can't read your mind. Now you're arguing. They didn't even know it was an issue. So what's the solution? Simple, expect less. Here's a personal story. A few years ago, I had a boss who was not great. She'd show up late to meetings. Forget important deadlines. Then blame the rest of us for her mistakes every time she did something infuriating. I'd vent to my co-workers, go home stressed and lose sleep replaying her nonsense in my head. One day, after yet another meltdown over her incompetence, a friend of mine gave me some advice I'll never forget. She said, "Why are you expecting her to be anything other than who she is? She's always like this." It hit me like a ton of bricks. I realized I was the lower your expectations. Let's get this out of the way. Most of us expect too much from other people. We expect them to be kind, thoughtful, reliable, decent human beings. When they inevitably fall short, we're shocked, disappointed, downright furious. Here's the hard truth. If you want to stop being so easily bothered. Problem not because I was wrong to be frustrated. Because I was expecting her to magically change into someone she clearly wasn't. Once I let go of that expectation, everything shifted. I still didn't like her behavior. It stopped bothering me as much because I wasn't surprised by it anymore. Now, I'm not saying you should become if you want to stop getting so easily disappointed. You need to be realistic. Don't expect people to always be on time. They might be late. Read a book. Suddenly their tardiness won't bother you as much. Instead of expecting your partner to know what you're thinking, talk about what you need. That's revolutionary. Right? Instead of expecting everyone to be nice to you, realize that some people are jerks. Their behavior says more about them than it does about you. Here's where it gets spicy. Lowering your expectations isn't just about protecting your peace, it's also about acknowledging that you're not perfect either. Think about it. How many times have you let someone down? Forgotten something important? Snapped at someone because you were having a bad day? We're all flawed. We're all capable of disappointing others. If you want to stop getting so easily bothered, you need to understand that you can't expect others to meet your standards all the time. When you lower your expectations, you're not settling. You're freeing yourself from the illusion that other people's actions are within your control. If you want to stop being so easily bothered, you'll mess up. 2. Cut them some slack. Focus on what you can control. You can't control how others act. You can control your reaction when you lower your expectations. You're not settling. You're freeing yourself. You're letting go of the illusion that other people's actions are within your control. If you want to stop being so easily bothered, you'll find peace. This doesn't mean you should tolerate disrespect or bad behavior. Boundaries are important, but it does mean recognizing that expecting perfection from imperfect people is a recipe for misery. Give people the benefit of the doubt. Assume good intentions even when someone messes up. Focus on patterns, not one-time events. Here's a hard truth. If you want to stop getting so easily bothered by others, you have to adjust your expectations. Don't expect others to meet your standards. Don't expect others to apologize or explain their actions. Learn to move on without it. Celebrate the unexpected wins when someone exceeds your expectations. It feels even better. Here's the most important thing to know. Life gets a lot easier when you stop expecting people to meet impossible standards. Lowering your expectations isn't giving up. It's letting go. It's saying, I accept people for who they are, not who I want them to be. Here's the best part. When you stop expecting so much, You start appreciating more. You notice the little things. Like the friend who texts you out of the blue to check in. The stranger who holds the door for you. Those moments feel bigger because you're no longer taking them for granted. So start today. Lower your expectations. Not because people can't be better. Because you deserve to stop being constantly disappointed. You'll be amazed at how much lighter life feels when you let go of all that emotional baggage. Point 3. Treat annoying people like toddlers. Here's a game changer. Start treating annoying people like toddlers. No. Really, picture that loud co-worker. The drama. Treat annoying people like toddlers. Here's a game changer. Start treating annoying people like toddlers. Picture that loud coworker. The drama-filled friend. The family member who can't seem to grasp boundaries. Now imagine them as a tiny, chubby, cheeked toddler throwing a tantrum over their favorite toy. Annoying. Sure. Also kind of ridiculous. Right. Once you start seeing difficult people through this lens, it's impossible to take their behavior seriously. When you don't take them seriously, you don't get angry. The beauty of this strategy lies in the fact that toddlers and annoying people have a lot in common. They lack self-awareness. Toddlers scream in public because they don't realize how disruptive they're being. Similarly, annoying people often have no idea how their behavior affects others. They're ruled by emotions. Toddlers cry when they don't get what they want. Adults gossip. Throw shade. Act passive. They're both immature. They crave attention. Whether it's a toddler yelling, "Look at me," or a grown adult starting unnecessary drama. The goal is the same, validation. Instead of reacting with frustration, treat their behavior like you would a toddler's tantrum, with calm detachment and a touch of humor. Let me tell you, people often don't realize how their behavior affects others. Toddlers scream in public because they don't realize how disruptive they are. Adults gossip. Throw shade. Act passive. Kevin was the guy at work who always made everything about himself. He'd hijack team meetings to brag about his brilliant ideas. He'd conveniently forget deadlines and blame everyone else. If you called him out, he'd pout like a kid who just got told no dessert. At first, Kevin drove me up the wall. I'd vent about him to coworkers. People often don't realize how their behavior affects others. Example. Toddlers scream in public because they don't realize how disruptive they're being. Similarly, annoying people often have no idea how their behavior affects others. They're ruled by emotions. Toddlers cry when they don't get what they want. Adults gossip. Throw shade. Act passive. Workers replay arguments in my head and even fantasize about quitting just to escape his nonsense. Then I had an epiphany during one of his infamous rants. He was going on and on about how he deserved credit for a project he barely contributed to. I thought, this guy isn't malicious, he's just emotionally underdeveloped. From that day forward, I started treating Kevin like a toddler. When he complained, I nodded and said, "Oh, that's interesting." Like you would to a kid telling you about their imaginary dragon. When he was blaming people, I stayed calm and redirected the conversation. Just like you distract a toddler with a shiny object. And when he demanded attention, I gave him just enough to satisfy him without feeding his ego. Guess what? It worked. Kevin's antics stopped bothering me because I wasn't taking them personally anymore. And without my reactions fueling the fire, he toned it down. At least around me. Here's where people might get mad. Treating annoying adults like toddlers can feel condescending. Think about it, if someone's acting childish, isn't it logical to respond in a way that works with children? This approach isn't about belittling them, it's about preserving your peace. You can't reason with someone who's emotionally immature. Trying to argue with them is like debating with a toddler about bedtime. It's a losing battle. Instead, meet them where they are emotionally. Here are some practical steps to implement this mindset. Don't take the bait. Just avoid arguing with a toddler who is screaming for candy. Smile. Nod. Move on. If someone is ranting about something petty, change the subject. Oh, I hear you. By the way, did you see the new coffee machine in the break room? Stay calm and neutral. Toddlers feed off reactions. So do annoying people. Keep your tone even and don't give them the emotional response they're fishing for. Use humor when appropriate. Diffuse their behavior with light-heartedness, awareness. Toddlers scream in public because they don't realize how disruptive they're being. Similarly, annoying people often have no idea how their behavior affects others. They're ruled by emotions. Toddlers cry when they don't get what they want. Adults gossip. Throw shade. Act passive-aggressive. Example. If someone's complaining about something trivial, say, "Wow. This sounds like a real crisis." Bonus points if you deliver it with a straight face. Set boundaries. Toddlers need structure. So do emotionally immature adults. If someone's being unreasonable, let them know where your boundaries are and stick to them. Here's the deeper truth. When people are often annoying because they don't understand how their behavior affects others. Toddlers cry when they don't get what they want. Adults gossip. Throw shade. Act passive. If someone's being annoying, it's rarely about you. It's about them. Just like a toddler throwing a tantrum isn't personally attacking you. An adult acting out is usually projecting their own issues. Recognizing this makes it easier to respond with empathy instead of anger. This approach doesn't mean tolerating bad behavior. It means reframing how you see it. Instead of thinking, "Why are they treating me this way?" think about why they're acting this way. A small change in perspective can change everything. When I started treating annoying people like toddlers, I felt a lot less stressed. Instead of getting angry, I started seeing their behavior as a reflection of their inner struggles, not a reflection of me. Once you realize that, it's hard to take anything they do personally. The next time someone's driving, you're upset. Picture this: imagine someone as a very young child wearing a diaper and stomping their little feet. I promise it's hard to stay mad when you're mentally handing someone a juice box and telling them to sit in timeout. At the end of the day, staying unbothered isn't about changing other people. It's about changing how you see them. If that means treating them like toddlers, be it. Your peace is worth it. Here's a radical suggestion: start saying "okay" to almost everything. Everything in life can be hard. I'm not saying you should just let people walk all over you. I'm talking about being calm and not getting upset. The next time someone says or does something annoying, upset, ridiculous, just say, "Okay." It's like putting your phone on "Do Not Disturb." Most people like it when you react. They want you to get angry or upset. When you give in, you're losing power. But when you say, "Okay," you're doing something amazing. You're not getting involved. Imagine someone insults you. Say, "Okay." Let them stay in their own bad mood, while you stay calm. Someone criticizes your decisions. Say, "Okay." It's not your job to explain your life to anyone. Someone tries to drag you into drama. Say, okay. And just like that, you're out of the chaos. It's not giving in. It's a smart plan. You're not letting other people control your emotions. Let me tell you about something that happened to me. I have an aunt named Linda. She likes to create drama. At family gatherings, she gives passive-aggressive comments. During holidays, she tells sob stories. One year, during Thanksgiving dinner, Linda started to criticize my career, my relationship, even how I carved the turkey. I felt angry. I stopped myself from responding. I didn't feel the need to defend myself or match her energy. I looked her straight in the eye and said, "Okay. That's it. Just okay. You know what happened." She blinked, confused. Then she moved on to her next target. I diffused the situation without even lifting a finger. For the first time in years, I actually enjoyed the rest of the evening. From that moment on, okay became my secret weapon. Every time Linda tried to stir up drama, I'd give her the same calm, unbothered response. Eventually, she stopped coming for me. I stopped responding to her the way she wanted me to. Now, let's talk about the obvious problem. Saying, okay, doesn't mean you don't care. Does it stop you from having important conversations? Here's the hard part, not every interaction is important. Not every criticism needs your defense. Not every drama is something you need to be a part of. Saying, okay, isn't about avoiding problems. It's about deciding what problems to fight for. If someone's arguing with you, that's not the problem you should be fighting. Negativity, gossip, petty complaints are all examples of things that you should not waste your energy on. You cannot reason with unreasonable people. Can you fix someone else's bad day? However, you can protect your peace of mind by not engaging when okay becomes freedom. Okay is more than just a word, it's a mindset. It says, I'm not here to argue with you. I'm not here to validate your negativity. I'm here to live my life, unbothered by your chaos. Once you start saying, okay, you will notice something incredible. People lose their grip on you. A worker who always finds fault. Powerless. That friend who loves to gossip. Deflated. That relative who thrives on drama. Silenced. Why? Because they're no longer getting the emotional satisfaction they're looking for. Here's where it gets profound. Saying okay is about accepting that you can't control everything or everyone. So much of our anger comes from facing reality. We want people to act differently, speak differently, be different. But when you say, okay, you're accepting things as they are instead of fighting for what you think should be. That's the deeper truth. Peace doesn't come from controlling others. It comes from controlling yourself. Stay neutral. Say, okay, calmly and with an even tone. Without sarcasm or eye rolling with the punches. Avoid explaining or justifying your position. Don't engage in further discussions. Let okay be the end of the conversation. Ask yourself if the situation is really important. If it's not, let it go. Use okay strategically. Save it for situations where you don't need to get involved. Serious issues. Address them thoughtfully. Life can be challenging. There are many things that can upset us. Like rude comments, arguments, unsolicited opinions. But here's the important thing to remember, not every fire needs fuel. If you say, okay, you're choosing to let the flames go out instead of making them bigger. Next time someone tries to bother you, stop. Take a breath. Say, okay. You'll see that it confuses them and protects you. Life will feel much easier when you stop worrying about what other people think. Remember, being calm doesn't mean you have to change the world. It means changing how you react to it. So, don't worry. Let it go. Keep moving forward. Your peace is important. Here's a simple idea: the best way to protect your peace is to be unapologetically unavailable. This means not just being physically unavailable. Also being emotionally and mentally unavailable. Stop being the person who's always ready to pick up the phone. Respond to every text within seconds. Drop everything to help someone else. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is, "Sorry. I'm not available for this." And here's where it gets interesting: you don't owe anyone an explanation for your unavailability. Think about it. How many times have you felt drained? Frustrated? Downright angry? You were too easy to reach. You said yes to plans you didn't want to make. You listened to someone vent for hours about problems they didn't want to solve. You got pulled into drama you didn't create. For what? To maintain some false sense of obligation. When you're always available, people start to see you as a resource instead of a person. They'll call you, text you, dump their issues on you without a second thought. Why? You've trained them to believe you'll always say yes. Let me tell you about Sarah. Sarah was the kind of friend who thrived on Sarah's emotional ups and downs. Every week was a new problem. Fighting with her boyfriend. Problems at work. Fighting with her mom. Every time she called, she expected me to stop what I was doing and be a therapist. At first, I didn't mind. I wanted to be a good friend. But over time, I noticed a pattern. Sarah wasn't interested in fixing her problems. She just wanted to complain. While she'd walk away feeling better, I'd be left feeling emotionally drained. One night, after a particularly exhausting call, I decided to stop. The next time Sarah called, I let the call go to voicemail. When she texted me, I replied hours later with a polite but firm, "Sorry. I'm busy right now. Hope you're okay." Guess what happened? Sarah didn't take it well. She accused me of being a bad friend for changing and even tried to make me feel guilty about all the time she'd been there. I replied hours later with a polite but firm, "Sorry. I'm tied up right now. Hope you're okay." Guess what happened? Sarah didn't take it well. She accused me of being a bad friend. Of changing. Even tried to make me feel guilty about all the time she'd been there for me. Here's the kicker: when I didn't budge, she started calling less. Slowly but surely, I felt my energy returning. Being unavailable didn't ruin our friendship. It rebalanced it. It taught me a powerful lesson: being there for someone doesn't mean sacrificing your own well-being. That I let it go to voicemail. When she texted me, I replied hours later. I was sorry. I was busy. I hoped she was okay. Guess what happened? Sarah didn't take it well. She accused me of being a bad friend for changing. She even tried to make me feel guilty about all the time she'd been there. Now, let's address the backlash. People hate when you start setting boundaries. Especially if they've benefited from your lack of them. They'll call you selfish. They'll accuse you of being distant. They'll try to make you feel guilty. Let it go to voicemail. When she texted me, I replied hours later with a polite but firm, "Sorry. I'm busy right now. Hope you're doing well." Guess what happened? Sarah didn't take it well. She accused me of being a bad friend. Of changing. Even tried to make me feel guilty about all the time she'd been there. Trip you into going back to the way things were. Here's the truth, you can't pour from an empty cup. If being available to everyone else is draining you, then saying no isn't selfish. It's necessary. Your energy is a limited resource. Not everyone deserves access to it. When you're unavailable, you're telling the world that my peace matters more than your demands. I'm not here to fix everyone's problems. Here's the best part, the people who truly care about you. I will respect your boundaries, the rest will either adapt or fade away either way. You win. Being unavailable isn't just about saying no to others. It's about saying yes to yourself. It's about recognizing that your time, energy, mental health are precious and deserve to be protected. Here's the deeper truth, if you're always available to others, you're never fully available to yourself. You're so busy meeting everyone else's needs that you forget to check in with yourself. When she texted me, I replied hours later with a polite but firm, "Sorry. I'm busy right now. Hope you're doing well." Guess what happened? Sarah didn't take it well. She accused me of being a bad friend. Said I was changing. Even tried to make me feel guilty about all the time she'd been there. When you start setting boundaries, you create space to recharge, reflect, grow. Ignore the immediate. Not every text, call, email needs an instant response. Let people wait. It won't kill them. Set clear boundaries. Let others know when you're available and when you're not. "I'm free to talk on Friday" is perfectly reasonable. Don't over-explain. You don't need to justify your unavailability. A simple, "I'm busy" is enough. Prioritize yourself. Schedule. It's time to focus on your own needs. This could be rest, hobbies, just doing nothing. Learn to say no. Practice saying no without feeling guilty. "I can't help with that right now." The world won't end if you don't answer a phone call or attend a meeting. Your mental health might suffer if you keep sacrificing yourself to meet everyone else's demands. Being unavailable is about reclaiming your time and energy. It's about realizing that you're not a 24/7 hotline for other people's problems. True connections don't require constant accessibility. They thrive on mutual respect and healthy boundaries. If someone tries to pull you into their drama or demand your attention, try this. Pause. Breathe. Ask yourself, do I actually want to do this? If the answer is no, don't hesitate to be unavailable. Your peace is priceless. Protect it fiercely. Unapologetically. Without guilt. The right people will understand. The rest, let them figure it out on their own. Here are some ways to stay calm and collected. If you've made it this far, congratulations. You've just earned the mental strength to keep your cool in life. Now, here's the surprising part. None of this has to do with avoiding people or being cold. Here's the deal, it's not about being cold or indifferent. It's about finding your peace and realizing that you don't have to fix, fight, take in every bit of negativity that comes your way. Life is short. Don't let someone else's bad mood, bad day, bad decisions ruin yours. Here's the key takeaway: when you let go of anger, frustration, the need to react, you create space for joy, growth, real connection. It's not about avoiding people. It's about embracing the right ones and keeping your energy for the things that truly matter. Here's your challenge. If someone tries to upset you, stop. Breathe deeply. Remember that you have tools to stay calm. If you found this helpful, click the like button and share it with someone who needs more peace. Leave your best tip in the comments or share a story about how you've learned to stay calm. Remember, your peace is your strength. Protect it. Grow it. Live it. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Stay calm, my friends.